You join me on this lovely, windy, wintry Saturday afternoon, and we're doing some landscaping. Well, most of it's done actually. So the place is an absolute travesty of a pigsty at the moment. Basically, the bare bones of it was I was so happy with how that went together and how it turned out that I'm going to make two more and put them right here, side by side. So this is where the old aquaponics was, if you remember. And before I could just plonk them down here, the old retaining wall that was here was 40 years old and was completely rotten. So we had to replace that retaining wall. That was a day's work. And we actually moved it out like one diameter of a post, so the wall used to be about here. All we did was drilled the post holes with the post hole digger, leveled it out, dropped the sleepers in, then pulled out the old rotten sleepers from behind and backfilled. And there's a layer of scoria at the bottom with slotted ag pipe at the bottom. And then I had to level this out and bring it back down to the proper level. So that retaining wall being 40 years old, there was also 40 years worth of build up on this side. And you can see what that looks like over here. See that height where that's growing? So there used to be a huge slope that was like built up here, and it slid down that way to that end of the wall. And so I've had to take out a big pile of dirt, and I've actually gone back to probably where the level of the ground was 40 years ago, because we just copied the old retaining wall for the bottom of this one, and actually digging that out down to the bottom of that wall actually went below the level of where the lawn used to be. And I've just filled it up with pine bark, pine chippings for a nice clean surface to walk on instead of walking in the mud. And that's pretty much made it level across there. That was 3 bags, 56 litres of wood chip, and it's a fairly decent layer thickness, and it might actually sink down into the dirt because the dirt's pretty stirred up. And I've got 4 bags, I'll just put the 4th bag on later if I need to. So I'm just about ready to start assembling the new wicking beds. They're going to be laid out something like that, and not quite touching the wall, and with a space to walk down the middle. Using the old floor pan because of the way I'm going to have the cages set up. Since I cut the cage in half, you'll see there's all the cut ends of the tube. I don't want them pointing up, but I can't have them pointing down straight into soil because I'll just sink in. So that was the whole idea behind the wood chips and the tray. So the ends of the pipe will sit on the lip of the tray. So it rained quite a bit last night, and this is why I don't want the cut end of the pipes pointing up, because I'll just fill up with water. As I was saying, the cut ends of the tube on this lip, so they can't sink into the ground and water can't fill them up. When I cut them, I just give them a quick spritz with zinc galv top coat, just to try and slow them down from rusting. You will notice these are actually shorter than the first one I made. That's because this IBC was cut perfectly in half, whereas that one was cut into like 2/3, 1/3 for the aquaponics system. That just means I'm going to have less of a water reservoir in these two compared to that one. I forgot about this, and when I bought this IBC I neglected to notice that this lid has a separate cap in the middle, and it didn't come with it was missing when I bought the IBC, so that could end up being a massive headache. That's no good, that's not going to hold water. So I might take that lid off and take it with me to the hardware store. Maybe we can find something with the thread matches, an end cap or something. Ta-da! Yep. For anybody wondering, this is a 2-inch BSP plug, commonly available, and this is on a Schutz brand IBC. So this red cap, usually from some research online, usually there's a vented cap thing in there, and that's on the Schutz brand, 2-inch BSP, so you can get that plug at Bunnings, a few bucks. And if you're wondering what that black stuff is, I've just squirted some mastic sealant in there. For anybody that doesn't know, mastic is like a really soft, gooey, liquid, rubbery sort of goo that never sets. It stays soft forever, and it sticks to everything like the proverbial you-know-what to your nan's favourite woolen blanket. Having said that, it does a fantastic job of sealing up stuff like this for water. And in fact, on the bigger wicking beds there, yellow-tailed black cockatoos. Love those guys, majestic creatures. Anyway, on the bigger wicking bed there, we used a pond liner, and the pond liner came as two pieces that had been welded together, plastic welded, and the joint actually leaked. Would you believe it? The pond liner leaked, and where there was a seam, there was a little flap, and I just absolutely bunged it up with heaps of this mastic, and it sealed that up. Beautiful, watertight, no problem at all. Just don't ever get it on your clothes, and if you get it on your hands, you can actually clean it up with WD-40 or Terps. If you just spray some WD-40 into a rag, you can wipe that up and it cleans it away. Anyway, enough jabbering, let's get on with it. As I suspected, that plug's poking out the bottom, so now it's holding the whole thing up off the bottom of the tray, so I'm gonna have to cut a big hole in the metal tray for that plug to poke through. Well, it's the next day actually, because I ran out of time yesterday, had to go out. But this is the most fiddly, annoying and long-winded part of doing wicking beds, is the hardware for the water reservoir. To get them both to this stage has taken me nearly 2 hours. This is the slotted ag pipe you can get, and it's all squashed up in a little bundle, and then you can stretch it out like an accordion, and it's pre-socked, and that's 8 meters in there, believe it or not. And both of them, they're a bit annoying because the sock on one of them was too short, so I couldn't extend it out all the way, and the sock on the other one was too long, so it's extended out, but the sock's all floppy and anyway a bit inconsistent with the length of that. So then to make the inlet pipe, and there's an elbow on the bottom, and then you have to zip tie something on the end of the pipe to stop gravel going in, and have to drill the holes, zip tie the ends up here ×2, do that twice, drill the holes for the overflow, cut the pot, and don't mind that bit of PVC pipe, I'm just reusing it. Unfortunately the 8 meters of ag pipe wasn't long enough to go all the way around into the middle, but I'm not buying more of that stuff. That they're like 40 bucks a piece, and set up wicking beds a lot cheaper. I just cannot be asked scrimping around and hunting around for free materials, and I just want to get this done this weekend, you know. So yeah, spend way too much money. The IBC itself was 100 bucks. There's 80 bucks worth of ag pipe. I think the bulkhead fittings are $9 each, something like that. Already had the inlet hose. A roll of Geotex was like 40 bucks, but that's way too much. Like, I don't need 10 meters, but yeah, just the scoria I already had, and the soil I bought to put in it, you know. Ends up costing a fair bit to set these up, but hopefully you know, you sort of set and forget. After this is done, you just renew the soil every year, put some new compost in it and whatnot, and get many years of produce out of this. Time to fill it up with scoria. I'll fill the pot up with sand, and I'm probably not going to have enough scoria. I'm going to have to go out and buy more. So I've got 4 bags of sand that won't even touch the sides in these. Yeah, It's times like this I kind of wish I had a trailer. I mean, I've got the ute, but it's not registered, not even roadworthy anymore, because buying sand and scoria and soil by the 20-litre bag is like 10 or 20 times more expensive than it costs to go and get a trailer load of it. Anyway, enough ranting. I will keep going. Well, I was hoping to get a bit more than that. That's all I had left. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go out and buy a lot of bags, I think. Unless I put a big tarp in the back of my wagon and go to the landscaping yard and shovel it into the back of my wagon. Yeah, I have to think about that. I really was hoping to get more than one bed's worth out of what I had left, but because that ag pipe didn't go all the way into the middle, that took up a lot more scoria than I was expecting, and that one's going to take even more. So yeah, what to do? Have lunch, I think. Lunch break, and ponder my options. I took the wagon option. That was $30 worth, and I don't know how many bags I would have got for $30, but probably half of that quantity. So wagons are just so useful. Put a layer of that geofabric on top of the scoria, then I cut a hole in the middle where the plug of sand is, and folded the edges of the fabric back and dumped another bag of sand on top, like a bag and a half each. I could have done with another couple of bags of sand, but whatever. So if you didn't know, the purpose of the plug of sand in the middle is to wick water up from the very bottom. If I'd filled the whole thing with scoria, scoria doesn't wick very well, capillary action. So that's what the thing of sand is in the middle. The sand will pull the water up right from the bottom to use up every last drop. And the geotextile is to stop this layer of sand mixing in with the scoria, and this layer of sand is just an attempt to make the water spread out from the middle a bit easier. Who knows if it's actually effective or not, but I think it looks good. Now I'm gonna, like the other one, I'm gonna put a thick layer of pea straw on top of the sand, and then the soil on top of that. We're nearly done. Of course, I also, after I put the scoria in, I filled them up with water to see where the water level was. That extra wagon load of scoria was the perfect amount. Didn't need any more or any less. So the water came up just above the scoria and it was overflowing. So that helped me find the level. So then I smoothed the scoria out so that it was all level with the water. Then once it finished dripping out, the water level had gone down like half a centimetre or a centimetre below the top of the scoria, which is just what I wanted. And so yeah, it just means there's no chance of the soil being submerged in water, because it will never come up as high as the sand. But yeah, that's just how I like it. And so now we've got at least 30 centimetres of soil depth. It's a good way to get rid of some unwanted garden scraps as well. I've put a whole heap of clippings and stuff that used to be on the ground here, and some of the plants that I dug up from around there, chopped them up and put them on top of the sand, and they'll compost down and provide food for the worms. All good stuff. And I'm just put a bit of pea straw on top of that, because this stuff here is quite virulent. I don't want it sprouting and finding its way up and starting to grow in this bed. So hopefully the straw will help smother it. And I've chopped it up good and proper with the shears. And there's an old tomato plant, tomatoes and all, in this one. And this was the tomato plant, funnily enough, that I pulled out of the aquaponics bed. That's the root ball. There's 3 tomato plants actually, and it's just been hanging up, drying out all this time. And I thought, oh, instead of chucking it in the compost bin, I just put it in here instead. Now, when I dump all the sand, the soil on top, it's going to squash all that down, and as time goes on, it's all going to squash down to nothing, and I'll keep topping up soil on top. So yeah, last step is the dirt. That's one done, 1 barrel at a time. I was surprised how much soil actually went in there, but it just goes to show how much the straw and everything squashes down to nothing as soon as you start putting weight on it. So I'm happy with the amount of soil that's in there, and of course that's all stirred up, so once it gets wet it's all going to sink down a bit more. And I've just been throwing in a bag or 2 of composted manure blend and some good old dynamic lifter, a few handfuls of blood and bone. So I think this is going to be quite a productive bed, I hope. And yeah, much better results than if I tried to grow anything in the ground. As I've said before, it's impossible to grow anything in the ground here, apart from maybe fruit trees, because of those bastards. Just look at them. Ask anybody, they'll tell you you can't grow a lawn directly underneath a gum tree, let alone a vegetable garden. So wicking beds are the way to go. And there you have it. They are 100% complete. Well, apart from the cladding on the outside, that's just decoration, so I can do that at my leisure. But they're pretty much ready for planting, apart from the soil has to settle down and I will refill it. It's actually a couple of days later because it was too dark by the time I got the mulch on the weekend, on Sunday. It was too dark to film the sign off, but even on Sunday I had the soil like quite close to the top of this lip, and it's gone down that much already. It was more like that. Well, that's even gone down a bit. Tossing up, trying to decide what to put in these beds now. I'm definitely going to make one whole bed just of corn, and yeah, I don't want to put it too close to the apricot tree and smother the apricot tree, but if I put it in this one then it's going to smother that one, so I don't know, maybe I should put the corn in that one over there and put the rosella in one of these. Anyway, enough jabbering. Thanks for following on if you watch this long. This is just how I make wicking beds now, and I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and catch you on the next one. See ya.